Ned stood naked at the window of his bedroom looking out over London. In an hour or so he might go down and scramble some eggs. Otherwise, why would he ever want to leave this room for the rest of his life? They could stay here forever. Only Portia had to be ready for her job interview. But they'd come back from that and run straight back up here again. Of course, tomorrow morning his father was coming down from the country and they must be presentable then, but tomorrow was a world away. He couldn't wait for Portia to meet his father. He felt that they would become instant friends. A vista of their future years together appeared before him. Portia and Pa at Christmas, in the maternity ward, on holiday together. The smiling, the laughing, the affection, the love. He wanted to weep with ecstasy. A movement in the street below caught his eye. Ashley and Gordon were returning to the house, a third person between them. Ned smiled when he recognized the lumbering gait of Rufus Cade. How on earth had they bumped into him? Any other time it would be fun to welcome them in, but never usually unsociable or selfish, Ned crept to the door and gently turned the key in the lock. The very delicacy of the sound woke Portia. "Did you just lock the door?" "'Fraid so," whispered Ned. "The others are coming back. Thought we might pretend to have gone out." Portia watched Ned crossing the room towards her, and an intense happiness rushed through her like wind through grasses, and she shivered and rippled with so much pleasure that she almost believed it was pain. "Don't ever leave me." "No fear," Ned whispered, climbing back into bed. They heard Ashley's voice calling up the stairs. "We won't disturb you both. Something I had to fetch. You young people enjoy yourselves." The smothered laughter of Gordon and Rufus delighted them. How wonderful it was to be giggled about. Ned sighed with the completest fulfilment and joy. Where in all the universe was anyone so unfathomably lucky? He was young, healthy and happy, and without a care or an enemy in the world. 2. Arrest. Ned shivered and pulled the blanket closer around his shoulders. "Excuse me," he said. "Do you think it would be possible for someone to bring me my clothes?" The policeman at the door shifted his eyes from the ceiling to Ned. "Not cold, is it?" "No, but you see, I'm only wearing—" "Middle of summer, isn't it?" Yes, it is, but—" "Well, then." Ned stared at the foil ashtray in front of him on the table and tried to force his mind to concentrate on what had happened. At 4 o'clock he had seen Portia into the college, which is to say they had rung the bell for the 5th floor of a disappointingly ordinary doorway in a narrow street behind the Scotch house. "I'll be outside," he promised, kissing her goodbye as if for the longest parting. "And when you come out, we'll go into Harrods for an ice-cream soda to celebrate." He had been waiting there on the pavement for nearly half an hour, trying to work out in a cheerful sort of way whether or not Portia taking such a time up there was a good sign. Being an optimist, he had naturally decided that it was. A group of young Spaniards, or Italians, he couldn't really tell which, had come up to the door. They had been in the act of producing a key when Ned had decided, on an impulse, to be let in with them. The sight of a respectably dressed boyfriend might just tip the balance in Portia's favour. "Excuse me," he had said, "would it be all right if I came in with you?" They had looked at him in bewilderment. If this was the average standard of English here, then Portia was going to have a lot to do. "I just wonder if you—" he had started to say, but before the words were out of his mouth, it had all happened. Appearing, it seemed, from nowhere, 2 men had each seized an arm and bundled Ned towards a car. Too surprised to speak, the last thing he heard before a hand pushed him down into the back seat was the raucous laughter of a small group of people standing in the dimly lit doorway of the nearby pub. "What's going on?" he had asked. "What are you doing?" "You'd better ask yourself what you've been doing," one of the men had said, drawing a foil package from Ned's jacket pocket as the car accelerated away with a squeal of tyres. At the police station he had been more thoroughly searched. They had taken away for examination everything but his underpants, and he had been sitting in this room now for over half an hour, wondering what could possibly be going on. The next time the door opened and someone came in, he decided, he would insist on being allowed to telephone his father. The police had no idea they were dealing with a cabinet minister's son. Sir Charles was a gentle and scrupulously polite man, but he had commanded a brigade in the war and run a small pocket of empire for 6 years. In the Sudan, he had pronounced sentences of death and seen them carried out. As Secretary of State for Northern Ireland, he had extended the limits of internment without trial and authorised all kinds of extreme measures. "Strong medicine for a strong infection," he had said to Ned once, without revealing details. This was not a man to be messed with. Ned almost felt sorry for the police. He would assure his father that he had been kindly treated and that he held no grudge. At last, the door to the interview room opened. "Right then, son." "Hello, sir." "My name is Detective Sergeant Floyd. If it's all right, I'd like to ring—" "Cigarette?" Floyd dropped a packet of Benson and Hedges and a lighter onto the table as he drew up a chair opposite Ned and sat down. No thanks. I don't smoke." "You don't smoke?" "No." "Half an ounce of hash, and you don't smoke." "I'm sorry?" "Bit late for sorry, isn't it? One thing to have it for your own use, but selling to foreign students? Magistrates don't like that." "I don't understand." "Of course you don't.